what's up, YouTube? Welcome to the Coffee Pod. My name is Chisha Zed.
Drink the coffee, it'll make you feel better.
This video is brought to us from In Herself podcast. Check them out on YouTube. I also have a link to their video in the description. And the title of this video is Redefining Womanhood. So I'm not actually starting this video from the beginning. I'm starting from a point where one of the hosts is talking about how she was raised up in her family to serve all the men in the household first. And then they have a really interesting discussion about women's roles in relationships and men's roles in relationships. So no more wasting time. Let's get it.
You know what my family does, and they still do? They fix every man's plate in the house. It doesn't matter if they are like grown down to the babies. The men fix their plates are fixed by the women of my family, and then the women, you get up and get your plate.
Yeah, because that's what women are supposed to do. Like, there's a list of things that society says that women are supposed to do, and now in our generation we have kind of changed that whole list up to grab from men, to grab
Messed up the whole list
from everybody, and our list looks a lot different from the way it used to. Like, at my grown age right now, as a woman, I am already supposed to have children and a man. Like, that's just already what it's supposed to be. But what if I said genuinely right now, I don't want that? Some people would be like, what you mean? Like, that's just what you're supposed to do. I don't think that's just what you're supposed to do. You don't even know who you are as the woman before you decided to do all of that. Not that you would know yourself fully, but you don't even know you as the woman that you're ordained to be before you decide to do that because they told you you had to. You rushed into it. And I'm not doing that.
No, I don't wish that for you at all to run into anything, but I do 100% agree with you on the dynamics and the roles from back in 1980 or 70 up until right now in 2024, that those lines that used to be a thing don't exist anymore. It really is equality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's a lot of men who are embracing that, because even back in the day, you used to have men who was like, the role of woman, I want you barefoot and pregnant. I want you in the house. You want to cook in my meal. And I'm gonna bring home the bacon. You cook it. And yeah, that don't really.
That's why there's a lot of confusion with dating now about what to expect and what to not expect from a woman.
Listen to what the first woman said there in the burgundy red shirt. She says, I don't know myself yet. What exactly does that mean? Let's define that, because here's what I believe and what I've observed to be true is when it comes to figuring out the right type of person who you should pursue marriage with, the only thing you have to truly understand that's like paramount about yourself first are what foundational values you truly want to uphold within that marriage that you wish to enter. What do I mean by that? Well, it's these discussions we have. The reason why there's so much confusion when it comes to the topic of marriage is because everybody's definition of marriage is different today. Pretty different. And your goal is to make sure that you find somebody who values the same things that you do. First, when it comes to those foundational values, what does that mean? What do you believe the role of a wife is within this relationship? She might respond and say, well, I think it's an equal partnership. Just right off the bat, you hear that. You're like, okay, cool. Thank you. It was nice knowing you. Move on. But you can only do that if you know what you believe, if you know how you define marriage. I go into depth about this in the Brew Brothers. Hit the link pinned to the top of the comment section if you're not already in there. But that's why that's so important. Those foundational values. What's the role of a wife? What do you believe the role of a wife? Well, I think I still should be strong, independent within that marriage. Okay, great. Hey, I'm sure there's another man out there who also believes the same thing. Now you might be asking, well, what about the fixing the meals and the place thing? See, those are personal values and they're different, right? After you identify what a wife is to you, you now want to find who the wife is for you. This is when those personal values now come into play. Now you're looking for the type of woman who values the culture where you're from. Maybe in your culture, the woman always serves a man. Maybe you're cool with her not really serving you, but you want her to cook once in a while. Those are personal values, but those foundational values have to be established. And I think that's all you really need in order for you to move on and decide whether that now is the wife or husband for you. Let's keep listening.
Depending on how you were raised, a man expects you to cook, to clean, to bathe him, to bathe the kids, to bathe the dog. They just expect. I'm dragging it, but that's the that's the expectations of a woman. And then you have some men who were raised by a single mom who didn't have the dynamic, or her mom treated their dad a certain way. So it's just like, okay, so I can go on a date with a dude that expects me to do this, or I can go on a date with a dude that expects me to do that. So for me, men don't know how to treat women because it's all over the place.
That's good.
I don't know what you want, because you could either.
But the goal isn't how to treat women. It's what are you looking for? What do you value, right?
I can either bring home the bacon and you can stay home and be a single. I'm not a single mother, Lord Jesus. You can stay at home and be a mother and take care of the kids, or you can go out and have your businesses. Some men don't like that. Some men say, no, my mama was at home taking care of us when my daddy was making money. Well, I'm not that type of woman. Well, you're not the woman for me. And it'd be like, all right.
And then you have some women who's okay with that. They're okay with, being home. And I'm going to be here when you get here, and I'm going to run your bath water, and I'm going to make sure the children are fed, and I'm going to make sure that we're going to do homeschooling. And as long as the bills are being paid and you are being faithful and everything is great, then it's a life for me.
I hate that you start talking soft like that.
We like that soft talk. We love that soft talk. Yes, sir.
Because there's a level of submission that happens. And people, even that word, like being submissive, that ruffles so many women's feathers to be like, submissive? I ain't better be no submissive.
And I'd be like, why not?
Do you understand? It's just, I want to make sure I'm submitting to the right thing. That's all.
That's it, and that's all.
That's all.
I'm not submitting to any and everything. I got to make sure, like, you have to be the right king for me to submit to.
Come on and say
you got to bring the right qualities for me to submit to.
Yeah.
But what are the qualities? And you don't need your whole life in the streets, and this is generally to any woman, to try and figure out what you value. No. You don't need to be in the streets for years on end in Pound Town, enjoying, and finally getting to the end and be like, all right, now I'm ready. No. Usually you're just damaging yourself most times in there.
What?
Yeah.
You have to be the man of God that the Lord declared for you to be, for me to be in position to submit to you, and then for me to be the woman of God that I'm supposed to be for you.
This gonna ruffle a lot of feathers too, especially our producers clip this. But because we're not saying that No, because this is why the reason why I'm saying is because this is important for them to watch the whole episode. So I say watch the whole episode.
I know.
Because biblically speaking, right, if you are already married, it doesn't say that your husband has to be doing something in order for you to be submissive. We're stating before you get married, to make sure that he is doing this for it to be easier for you to submit. Because submission, when you're already married, the requirement is not for him to do anything. You're supposed to submit because you're already under covenant.
Amen. Did you hear that? Once you're married, you're supposed to submit. You're supposed to submit.
So before you do that, make sure you know what you're getting into.
Yes.
Submission is not hard. It's just, I'm not following anything. Because I'm going to follow you as you follow Christ.
You're supposed to be leading and guiding me somewhere.
Because technically we equal. I can really lead too, but I don't desire.
Whoa.
That's a topic too. I think that sometimes men think that we want to lead and that we don't.
We don't. We do it because we feel like we have to.
Because if I don't, it's a possibility that it won't get done. And so to keep me from being frustrated, I'm going to go ahead and do it, or I'm going to go ahead and have a backup plan just in case. But that's not what I want to do.
Believe it or not, women don't want to play the man role and the woman role.
We can't tell. Bunch of grown men in skirts walking around. We can't tell. Please help us unsee what we see. This idea that prove to me you're a leader, I understand women need to vet men and they need to be careful about the men that they pick. Right? We can't tell women to choose better and then call them out for having standards. We understand that. As long as those expectations and standards are not delusional, then you're on the right track. But here's the problem, man. I think the problem is social media, and I really do think social media has played a huge role in this. has changed because a lot of women get on social media and then they start comparing what they see. They look at their relationship or marriage and think that they picked a man who's not winning because he's not driving the expensive car, or because they're not traveling like the single chicks are traveling. And they believe what they see. Here's what I mean. Marriages are like football teams or basketball teams. Sometimes your team is losing. And when your team is losing, you don't start saying, hey, I want to switch the point guard, or I want to trade teams just because they're losing. No. You're losing in that moment. I think a lot of wives will be in relationships and maybe their team in that moment is going through a challenging time and they're down a few points, but they're looking at the other teams who are making it to the championship and they start comparing and thinking, oh, did I make the right or wrong choice? No, that is your leader. He is the head. Now you submit and you fight for your team until you're back up. You don't jump ship because you believe that you can either lead better or you think he's not doing the right thing. Sometimes your leader that year is just not going to get the ring, and that's okay. You still have to be proud for the team, for the country that you're fighting for, even though it may not be number one in that moment. Let's keep listening.
I promise you.
Don't desire. Stop telling women Happy Father's Day.
Please. Because I am not a father and I don't desire to be one.
Don't desire to do both. I want to be a woman. I want to walk in my femininity.
Ooh.
Is that the word?
Yeah, femininity, baby. Yep, you had it.
I had it. I want to walk in that. I want to be the woman. I want to be able to be like, okay, I don't want to take the trash out.
I was just getting ready to say, can you take out the trash? I don't want to cut the grass. I don't want to be responsible for the boys' hair. I don't want to do nothing. I want to be able to be vulnerable. I want to have my emotional time alone and come back into, I want to be who I was created to be. God created us the best.
Mhm.
I ain't gonna hold you. He broke the mold. As a matter of fact, he said, you ain't coming from dirt, you coming from flesh. Because baby, when I made you,
yeah,
men don't get favor until you find a wife.
Yeah.
He that finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor
from the Lord.
All right, so the conversation here is pretty good. Of course, I'm curious to know what you guys think. How did you grow up? Were the women serving the food inside your household? Do you plan to do that if you have a household in the future? Even in the culture that I was raised up in when I was younger in the household. And it was different from when I stepped outside of my household. So both of my parents are African. And there was a recent event, a family event, where I watched all the women and their daughters do what's considered the cultural thing to do, is serve the men first. Now they serve the oldest men first, and then it will be the children and then the mothers. And all the women will be in the kitchen. And I watched these women do this without thinking about it, joking with their men, laughing with their men, having fun with them. And in that moment, what really stood out to me was how natural it was for those women to do that. Now, here's what's interesting. The daughters of a lot of those women were kind of making fun of that situation, a few of them, right? These are the more feminist leaning types. They looked at that and, you know, they had things to say about it, but because that's how they were raised, they still participated in that experience. Let's check out these comments from other women. This comment says, I make his plate and I never touch a dish or a trash bag. Do what works for your relationship. And so this is a great example here of a married couple whose foundational values they agree with. They agree with the type of power dynamics they want within their relationships. But when it comes to these personal values of, am I going to serve you the plate? Who's going to take out the trash? Those are personal values that can be negotiated, right? And again, if you want me to go deeper into those 5 foundational values, then join Brew Brothers. Link is at the top of the comment section. Another comment here says, been with my husband for 16 years and never fixed his plate. Hell, I barely cook his meals. Do what works for you. Again, this is another really good example. Now, here's where this wouldn't work. If she was the type of woman who's like, I'm your equal, I'm strong, I'm independent. And he's like, well, I'm strong, independent too. And they're both trying to lead at the same time. I guarantee you that would make or break the relationship. But things like this could go either way. Somebody else here says, I love fixing my man's plate and cooking for him. He provides and protects our family. Why not? The overwhelming majority of men who are married to a feminine, nurturing woman do want a woman to cook for him. And I believe as a woman, you should cook for a man who's especially willing to die for you. Now, if you choose not to, it is what it is. Somebody else here says LMAO because it's opposite in my family. My stepdad and male cousins cater to the women in my family so much growing up. Yeah, it sounds like some type of a matriarchy there. There's also that, right? Somebody else here says, yep, that is what I do in my household. So sounds like another woman here. She serves her man. A lot of these chicks here actually do serve their men their food. Here's another person who says, yeah, did it for my boyfriend, not doing it anymore. I'm not fixing a damn thing for anyone except my dog. Ooh, bitter woman. Somebody else here says, do what's best for you. Here's a chick who says, my husband wants us to both fix our children's plate first. In parentheses, in the future, but currently we fix each other's plate. We suggested it, and I love that about him. Here's another woman who says, I do this and without even thinking about it. So she just serves her husband without thinking about it. That probably has a lot to do with her upbringing. Here's somebody else who says, I love doing this. It comes naturally. Another woman who's like, I love fixing my man's plate. Yes, yes, yes. I'd say the more traditional that man is when it comes to what he expects with the things that he values personally, then the more he'll lean towards wanting a woman who fixes his plate. Guys, listen, of course, I'm curious to know, what do you think? Leave your comments down below. I appreciate you as always for checking out yet another episode of The Coffee Pot. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.